Is Unite endorsing the Mana Party in the campaign?
No, Unite has a policy. We're politically non-aligned. We do not get behind and back any party, unlike most of the other major unions who support Labour. We're saying, but we are encouraging all of our members, our delegates and members, to be active in politics, to engage with what the political parties are involved in, and look for and promote the issues that are going to benefit workers. So we take a very active sort of active approach in that.
Okay, so what's the relationship between the Occupy movement and the Mana Party? Because some people are saying it's kind of the Mana Party in drag, or something, or Mana Party, or even the some of the local socialist groups.
No, it's not the Mana Party in drag. It's, I mean, the Occupy is Occupy, and Mana is one of the groups that said right from the outset that we would endorse it before the occupations occurred, before October the 15th. So we came out, the executive came out officially and said we're backing this. We see this as a very positive development, and we see it as reflecting in action the kind of policies that Mana's putting forward in Parliament.
Okay, so you're involved in the movement yourself?
Yeah, well, I was there. I was one of the first tents up in Auckland.
You've slept there?
I have slept. I slept the first night, but I have to say I'm involved in lots of things, and I do lots of things, and I'm out active in the community. I think that, and I'm going to say this, I think the Occupy is fantastically, really important development, but what the occupations have to do is they must outreach all the time and bring new groups in and go out and support activities in the community and bring those people in, and there needs to be this ferment going on around. But
doesn't that mean it's kind of very amorphous and no one really knows what it's all about?
I think what will happen, well, that's the good thing about it. It's drawing in a lot of people who don't see themselves as political and have never got involved in sort of political party politics or anything like that before, but who are intensely political because they're bringing these new ideas in. And through that, I think if the occupations can hold their ground over the next few weeks, we'll see a very exciting movement develop. And those things that you're talking about, we all like to put things in pigeonholes and say, well, this group supports this group.
For very good reasons. We want to know what it means.
We want to analyse it. Yeah, we do.
It's not about analysing. We want to know, can we support it? Can we be a part of it if we don't know what it means?
Well, you have to go down there and help shape what it means. That's what the occupation movement is saying. And Mana's down there. We're engaging with things like around the country this week. At least in Auckland, there's a march which has been called by the people who started the Wall Street occupation and the adbusters, and they're saying they're wanting an international action to support a financial transactions tax, right? So in Auckland there's a march from the occupation going down Queen Street, stop at all the banks and make our way back to the occupation. So there's some real concrete political demands beginning to come out of the occupation movement, and over time I hope that they will develop and solidify.
Okay.
So does that mean
not ossify?
Sorry, before when you said that you were going to change the name of the party to Mana Movement after the election, does that mean that the election is not, I mean, it is just a purely agenda-setting exercise, and it's about having a platform for policy rather than, do you not have any parliamentary ambitions, what I mean?
Personally, I've never had any personal parliamentary ambitions, but I've put myself forward for this to see how it goes. Let me put it this way. I've said this to several people, and I'll say it here. When I joined Mana, the first time I've ever joined a political party, I've got the receipt, and I've actually sellotaped it on the wall of my office. And when people come in to the office, I say to them, "See this? This might be the biggest mistake of my life, or it might be the most exciting development I've ever been involved in." And at the moment, as I go on, it gets more and more towards that other side. But it's not going to be something in the middle. It's going to be one or the other.
What's different about, say, the Mana movement or party, whatever you want to call it, and say the Alliance back in the 1990s? Because I would have thought that you would be involved in the Alliance, perhaps even maybe in preference to this.
No, the Alliance never excited me back then. I thought they were. It's more policies that are sort of add-ons or changes to what Labour were doing, rather than bringing forward completely new, what I would call radical in a positive sense, radical ideas. I mean, we see Labour and National as having the neoliberal agenda you can't fit a bloody cigarette paper between them on most issues. There are some that are developing now, but you can't fit, on the key economic issues, you can't separate them. And we're saying, we're coming from the outside and saying, look, we've got to have a whole fresh look at this, and I think we are in resonance with what's happening particularly in other countries, but in New Zealand as well. And I'm talking about the Occupy movement, and I'd also talk about the whole development around a financial transactions tax, which is beginning to take off.
So someone's asking, if you don't have parliamentary ambitions, this is on Twitter, why are you running in the election? Why are you on Vote Chat, I guess?
Well, I'm... yeah, I guess if I put it this way, I'm extremely ambitious for the movement, right?
Yeah. Extremely
ambitious for the movement. And if I can be one of the people who helps to lever that movement into a more politically influential position, then I'm keen to do it.
Okay. Any other questions at the moment? This man with the stripes?
Yeah. Just bringing discussion back to the alcohol, which was touched on briefly with the pokies issue. I'd like to know what Mana's stance is on the age, and particularly with relation to how alcohol is sold on off-licensed premises, because I've said earlier today I work in a supermarket and I've said there's a lot of problems with purchasing alcohol in large bulk quantities, not just by 18 and 19-year-olds, and there's several of us, I'm not going to say where I'm from, but who feel that off-licensed premises such as supermarkets shouldn't be allowed to trade liquor.
Yeah, I think that I think when we focus on age, we're focusing on the wrong issue, you know. And I've been a teacher for a long time, and I'm appalled that kids can go into these liquor outlets and you can buy these 2-litre containers. I don't know if you've seen these Bigfoots. You can buy a 2-litre container full of ready to drink stuff for $12. And we've got these alcohol companies deliberately targeting our teenagers for drink. And you know, they say, they have this voluntary code of conduct. They're not supposed to associate alcohol sale with sexual success. And yet, look at it all. Look at TUI. Look at, I've seen some absolutely filthy billboards around that are deliberately targeting teenagers, and it just makes me bloody sick. And the fact is, we've got Labour and National, doing bloody nothing about it. I'm appalled by it. So I think we need, Mana thinks we need to put stringent controls on advertising, and that includes things like fast foods. Why are kids watching bloody programs and seeing McDonald's on TV? You know, get rid of it. Let's put some control back into the community, and let's not see ourselves continually as these little isolated individuals, isolated families. We're part of an interconnected community.
But I have to say, regardless of whether you're right or wrong about this, it kind of sounds like you're reinforcing all these ideas about the left as we know best, arrogant, we want to ban this, that and something else. We're not concentrating on economics, we're concentrating on personal behaviour. Isn't it a distraction from what you should be looking at?
No, well, we're looking at, the core of what we do, any political party, you look first of all at their economic policy. And if you can look at their economic policy, you can see, you can predict what all their other policies would be. Economics is at the heart of it. And that's why our economic justice policy is at the heart of what we're doing. That's the radical change we need to do. And about the advertising, that's about control. At the moment, we think we're all these atomised individuals making decisions. That's fine. No one's against that. But where's the control? The locus of control in New Zealand is with the 1%. The 1%, National and Labour together, and the whole corporate sector. They control what happens in the country through their lobbyists and what have you. We're so far away from having community control. We're saying put some of that control back into the community. We're not saying take away individual freedoms. We're not saying take away individual freedoms, but we're saying put more control into the community.
Okay, there's another question at the front here. You.
Yeah, I'm interested in the financial transactions tax, and I want to know what it's going to apply to. I'll give just 2 examples to see whether it would apply to them. It might apply to neither. One is if I buy a $100 textbook from Amazon, and the other one is if I move $100 from my check account to my savings account. Now, would the transaction tax apply to either of those? Well, or what does it apply to?
Well, what we've said is that we would bring in a transactions tax that would get rid of GST, so it would bring in $15 billion, right? And we quite deliberately haven't said exactly what would be covered and how it would be covered, because there's a whole debate going on around the world, particularly, and for countries with economies similar to New Zealand, like France and Germany, we're looking at what they are developing. We're looking at the developments there before we finally decide on exactly what it would be and how much and what it would cover. I think the initial target would be transactions, foreign currency transactions which come in. I mean, we have, I think, $93 trillion a year coming in and out of New Zealand banks, just just speculating on the value of our dollar. We have the 11th most traded currency in the world, which keeps the New Zealand value at an artificial high level, which all the exporters complain about. Financial transactions tax would help to reduce speculation and reduce the value of the dollar. So the short answer is I'm not sure, but it certainly won't. It's certainly a tax which would impact on the 1% rather than the 99.
Okay, we've got a few more questions. Francisco first.
Would the minor party bring back compulsory unionism like in the 80s and 70s?
No, I don't think we don't. We're not interested in compulsory unionism. I think a lot of employers would like compulsory unionism. In the past, employers have found that a very good mechanism to keep control of their workers, to be honest. No, we're not saying we want compulsory unionism, but we want to increase the bargaining power of unions. At the moment in employment relations, and even the Employment Relations Act says this at the front of it, this Act is here to try and redress the imbalance in the employment relationship. Employers have all the power, workers have bugger all power. You basically take the job you're given, and then and employers, of course, want to have this pool of unemployed to keep pressure on wages and keep that pressure down. And I mean, part of Mana's policy is full employment, so we get over that problem. But we've got to have the ability to negotiate cross-sector agreements, cross-industry agreements, which we don't have at the moment. A couple of unions have been.
Isn't that in Labour policy though?
They have got, yes, they have, yeah. I think Labour's, again, I mean, part of that policy is that's the start in the right direction. Yep.
Okay, we've got another election candidate here, Holly Walker from the Greens. She's got a question.
Kia ora. I'm interested in Mana's commitment to gender equality, so if you can tell me anything about the party's policies and for women, equal pay, that kind of thing, and also whether Mana considered a co-leadership model, and if so, why you didn't choose to go with it?
Well, yeah, those are good questions. I think, as I've said to people before, we're trying to do in 3 months what other parties have taken a long time to do. So we haven't, the co-leadership model's not been considered. It was sort of, yeah, it's been discussed, but it hasn't. There's been no decisions taken on that. There will be decisions taken on that after the election. On gender equity, yes, we have one former Green Party MP, Sue Bradford, very keen on this, and she's been. We've talked about developing. There's a whole range of. We've put out about 12 policies, right? And there's a whole lot of other discussion that's gone on, and there are policies which are sort of partially fleshed out, but which we haven't formally approved. So I can't really go into much more detail there, apart from say that in terms of, you know, in general terms, yes, we're strongly supportive of gender equity.
Catherine Delahunter's got a members' bill on equal pay about requiring employers to
yes.
record
it
and sharing that data.
That's a good. It's a good little first step, because what it does is it just brings that embarrassment to employers who are in fact effectively have these kind of unsaid policies that are discriminating against women.
Okay, a question here.